Hey Spoon, how you doing?
I'm okay, and you?
Doing well. Thanks for taking the time today. Just kind of wanted to start big picture. What do you feel? I know it's just a day, but what do you kind of feel like has been your biggest takeaway from this first season as a head coach?
Well, like I've said from many times this entire season is, one thing that I'm super proud of with this team is how competitive they are and how hard they continue to play each and every night. Um, that was a big piece. No matter what we went through, no matter the injuries, the sicknesses, everybody stepped between those four lines and they played hard. They gave everything that they have. You can't help but to be proud of your team leaving it all out there no matter what. Competing at a very high level is always huge to watch, beautiful to watch. And a lot of people, when you're going through a lot of things, just kind of throw the towel in. But that's not something this team did. We played hard all the time.
Then just a quick follow-up. We've been asking players kind of what their biggest focuses are to improve within themselves in the off season. For you as a coach, what is one thing that you hope to improve going into year two?
I'm gonna go improve on everything. I'm not focusing on one thing. I'm focusing in on a lot of things, whether it starts from practice to the games, to shoot around. I want to focus in on every single thing, even player development. I want to take a look at every single thing that um, plays a huge part in the success. So that's going to be big for me the entire time during this off season is to put the computer in front of me and begin to watch. Watch practices again, um, watch shoot arounds, watch the games. It's going to be big for me to make sure that I find ways to be better as a coach, to make sure that I'm doing the right thing, to make sure that they're able to play the game the way we want to play the game, how fast we want to play the game, how aggressive we want to play the game. But there's ways you do that as well with the practices and stuff that you have.
Definitely. Thank you. Appreciate your time all season.
Absolutely.
We'll go Carly, then Mike. Carly?
Hey Spoon, how are you?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing great. I have one question. I have a couple questions, but the first question is kind of on why was it so important to sign Elizabeth Williams to a contract extension and come back for next season? She only played 9 games, but you said all season she was a leader on the bench. How important and how impactful, and why was it so important to have her back for 2025?
Will was playing extremely well. She was playing great basketball before her injury occurred. She was a huge piece of our success um, as we were moving into 9 games, I believe it was. She was playing extremely well. And like you said, it's the voice, it's her leadership, it's her way of working. She's an example for everyone to follow because of how she works, the expectations she have of our bigs that we do have, and she can be the leader for them to understand how you work, how you get better, how you defend those players that have played in this league for numerous years. She's a huge piece to help them understand how to be successful in this league.
And then with your background in both you and Jeff's background in player development, and you bring in the 2 rookies and Angel and Camilla, how would you assess their development from day one of training camp to the final game that they were able to play?
Well, playing against the competition that they played against, of course they developed. They developed in many ways, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and then trying to find their way offensively. What is my primary move? What is my go-to move? What is my counter when that is cut off? So they were learning all those things, and there's a lot of growth in that, a lot of growth that happened in this season. But your off season is a way that you can add to the game to stretch their game to make them a little more successful in the painted area, a little more successful in the dunker area, the elbow area, the free throw line area. You want to make them a little more successful because now in the offseason is a time that you have to be able to do it. But coming from college straight into the professional level, it takes time to kind of change that and help that. But the time that they had an opportunity to play against the players that they played against, there was growth in just the competition itself.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your time all season, Spoon.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
We'll
Thank
go
you.
Mike, then Zachary. Mike?
Hey, Coach, appreciate you and your time.
Thank you.
I was wondering for you, obviously, Julia kind of talked about it a little bit, but you've spent so much time in this league as a player and so many off seasons trying to add things to your repertoire or to your bag. This time as a coach, what does that off season really entail? Because obviously you already have a great coaching staff with Ty Young, David, and everybody around. But really just kind of honing in, like you said, watching film, looking at overseas players, maybe potentially in free agency that you might want to bring in. So for you, kind of how excited are you to kind of engulf on this off season now that you've had a full season to be here, and what does that look like?
Well, I've started already. I'm not one to wait for next week or 2 weeks and 3 weeks. I've started already. I have things in place where I'll be at camps and coaches camps and people that I trust and believe in to have my sit downs with. That's going to be huge for me. It's huge for me to be able to hear what they do, see what they do, how they do it, and how it's all structured. It's important for me to just kind of grow in that way. But of course, I've started already. I'm not, I don't procrastinate in any way. I go get it done early. I see what it is I need to do. I get after it as early as possible. I don't wait till the last minute.
Thanks for everything, Spoon.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here.
Zachary?
Hey Spoon, how you doing?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good, can't complain. You talked about what you intend to do during the off season to improve as a coach. I'm curious to know, what did you say to the players in terms of what you want them to do during the off season?
Well, I'm pretty private when it comes to things like that. I leave my conversation with my players. They have their little booklet of what they need to do, what we see. And we had a conversation about it today. And I think they're on board with that. I know those are the little things that we put in place for them. So I think that it's something they got to be able to see, put your eyes on what we're asking, and then going and getting it done. And it'll better you as you progress during the off season to bring to season.
Mm-hmm. And then just one other question I got for you, Spoon, is going off on what Mike was saying a little bit. Given your status in this league, from where you were as a player to where you are now, and you're seeing such the rapid growth and popularity of the league, especially with players like Angel and Camila, what does it mean for you to be in this position to be a coach of two of the most high-profile players in the league and to see the league grow in popularity as it is now?
It's always great to be a part of something like this. It's always great to be a part of anything when you're talking about the W, and I say that respectfully. So it's a great thing to be a part of, but when you're part of two young people who's growing in this game and you know that they're going to be great at what they do, it's huge. But like we were talking, it's about, also studying those things as well of how it can make it better for them as they continue to grow in this league. That's the most important piece for me as their coach, is not to be happy just to coach them and see their greatness, but how do I pull that greatness out all the time? So it's a lot that has to come from me as well as I'm working, as I'm getting better, to make sure I step in to help them to be better.
Thank you, Spoon. Appreciate your time all season.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Andy?
Coach Spoon, good to see you.
Awesome to see you too.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, getting right into it. We're looking at this past season, the sheer amount of roster turnover, injury things that went on. I mean, we can talk about it as much as we want, but I guess the big thing is you as a first-year coach. It's obviously not that conducive to have all that happen in your first year at the helm. What sort of lessons and coaching philosophy do you kind of take from that experience, and how do you kind of apply that going forward?
Well, it's just not something that you normally see, but in basketball, these things happen. Injuries do occur. So, the thing that I like the most is, even though these injuries occurred on our team, that our players stepped up. They stepped up and they played extremely hard to try to keep us afloat, to try to get us wins. And that was the most important thing. But it's not an easy thing to have to go through when you lose. You look over there on the bench and you're seeing Kennedy there, you're seeing Angel there, you're seeing Camilla there, you're seeing Diamond there, you're seeing E. Will there. That's our team right there. So there's a lot that's missing for us to have that sustained energy on the floor, for that energy to remain at a very high level against elite basketball teams. But you learn a major lesson about yourself. You learn how strong you really can be in through adverse moments. You learn how you can become comfortable in uncomfortable moments. And you have some growth in it as well. And there was a lot of growth in it for us. So we're going to take those little things that we grew from, and we're going to add that into our season as we move forward.
Sounds good. Thank you so much as always, Coach.
Thank you.
We'll go back follow-ups, couple more. Julia, then Carly. We'll end with Carly.
Spoon, what do you feel like you learned about your relationship with Jeff and just kind of the identity that you feel like the two of you are trying to create here in Chicago?
I'm a very private person, really super private with with the relationships, and so I wouldn't share very much. But Jeff and I have developed a great relationship about what's needed here in Chicago with the Chicago Sky. It's a funny relationship as well. A lot of fun that we have with one another because it's necessary. It's important to have a little bit of laughter as well. But we have a tremendous connection of what we both see. And that I think that's the most important thing. And also to know that even when you do have that type of connection, it doesn't always mean that there's that you agree upon everything. But the one thing about Jeff and I is we don't leave the table until there's a solution. And that's a big piece of the puzzle when you can have that type of relationship, that type of conversation. We probably talk maybe 10 times a day. And there's no exaggeration there because we want to have that connection. We want to stay connected. We want to have our thoughts and ideas thrown out there all the time because it's important. This is our first year through this thing and incredible learning lessons. I mean, we learned so much about ourselves, so much about how we can grow even better together. You know, even when you feel like you've grown, you're like, man, we're really growing. But then you're like, oh man, we can grow even more because we want more. We want to do more. And when you walk away from a game like we did last night, and you walk back into your practice facility and knowing that there's no practice, no balls are bouncing, no shoes, you don't hear the squeaking of the shoes. There's a feeling that you get, and it's a feeling that you don't ever want to feel again. It's motivating. It's definitely motivating to want more, to do more, to strive for more, to continue to stay mission driven. And that's what Jeff and I do. We remain mission driven no matter what, because we know what we can do when we're healthy. And that's the most important thing.
Definitely. And then last one for me, several of your players talked about how they felt like some of the things that you installed over the Olympic break were a real kind of leveling up, especially for the offense, some like motion-based sets, just kind of trying to add more movement into the offense. Do you have anything in particular that you maybe tweaked over the Olympic break that you feel really positive about or feel like maybe is a step in the right direction for where you want this team to go?
I think they started to probably feel more involved. Everyone probably felt a little more involved with the offense that we put in, and that was the purpose of it, is to make sure we got everyone involved to utilize all of our gifts because we have a tremendous amount of gifts from every player on this team. And the offense that we put in was more of a continuity offense, a lot of movement, a lot of screen setting. So it helped a lot for that type of movement because of the pace that we want to have. So that offense really helped us a lot with everybody feeling involved, everybody doing their job, and then everybody finding each other and playing together with that ball movement, player movement, and it looked really good for us.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
We'll end with Carly.
Spoon, I just got one more for you. Rachel revealed earlier in her exit interview that herself, Mariah, Angel, and Ewell are going to be working out together this off season and wanting to establish chemistry and get some connection going. Obviously, you don't know what your full roster is going to look like next year, but to kind of see chemistry already in work after a season is over, what does that say to you about what the members that you do have returning next year want to have for the 2025 season?
Well, that is so big because it's something we spoke about and how big that is to gain that early chemistry. Because when you come to camp, you want to have that chemistry. You want to already kind of have a little bit of it instead of trying to find it. You want to always kind of have a little bit of it already. And that's big because Rachel is a veteran. She's been here. She knows, she understands. She recognizes we have some rookies that need that type of leadership, need to understand how important that chemistry is early. And for her to want to take on that responsibility, that's big. And she knows that I back that with her. So that's big for her to want to bring everybody in and start to gain that chemistry as soon as possible, whether it's here or whether it's somewhere else, that they're gathering together to play, to get to know each other's strengths, each other's weaknesses, each other's personalities, what their whys are, what makes them go. It's important to know those things about one another when you're playing with each other.
To just kind of follow up on that, obviously we see that a lot in the NBA just because there's no overseas or anything like that there. With how the league is changing and transforming, is this off-season workout that we're seeing right now, is this something that you see as going to become more consistent and more normal in the WNBA in the next 5-10 years?
Could possibly be, you know, you want to take advantage of time. And if you have the opportunity to come together, you want to take advantage of that, especially when you're young, especially when you're a young team and you want to keep kind of gain a little bit more chemistry, a little more continuity, a little more cohesiveness, a little more understanding of one another. It's big to take advantage of that time. And possibly that could be something that now will be, you'll see a lot more of it, which is big. It'll be huge.
Thank you again for your time this season.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you, guys.